Hey everyone, this is still figuring out. I do Marvel Legend comparison between the older version and the newer versions of the character, and also between authentic and non-authentic, so do hit the subscribe button to check out more of my videos. In this video, I have with me SpiderMan Noir. I actually don't know how to pronounce this word because when I read about him in the comics, I'm really just reading it, so I don't really have to say it out loud. And even in the recent animated Spider-Verse movie, they didn't really say out the word. So after a quick check with Google, it is apparently pronounced as Noir. Here's the KO version of Spider-Man Noir. He comes with this gun and also a hat. I'm not so sure this figure is based off which action figure, but I think it's from the Black Series Star Wars. So this Spidey Noir has a shorter trench coat, and his vest is actually different because he does not have buttons on it. As you can see here, in the comics, he has been drawn with buttons on his vest, so this is actually something which is not comic accurate. So this pants is actually quite decently sculpted, whichever this body is from. Hit it in the comment below if you know that this is based off from which figure. And also his boots does not have laces, because in the comics, he has laces on them. One hand is the trigger finger hand, and the other hand is just a gripping hand. He doesn't come with any alternate hands, unlike the other Spider-Man KOs that I've gotten. His head sculpt, however, is actually really awesome. It's really well sculpted, and you can see the details of the stitches at the top of the head. He also actually has a holster, just one of them, over here for the gun. Here's a back view of the figure, and you can see on the trench coat that there is actually kind of a belt, but it is sculpted on to the back of the trench coat. This gun actually looks like a blaster from one of the Star Wars figure, and this blaster fits in the holster perfectly. The head kind of just sits on the head. It's not really firmly inside, but it does stay in place. Here's the figure without the trench coat. I think this kind of Star Wars vest is really off, and it doesn't really look great on Spider-Man Noir. You can see some paint scuff over here on the neck. So this figure probably has skin tone or skin paintwork at the neck. More paint scuff, paint blemishes on the neck over here. And the pack is also kind of modified. I think the trench coat is also painted because you can see on the inner side it's actually kind of yellowish in color, but thankfully on the outside it's really all black. Articulation. So I'm going to check out the articulation without the trench coat. So it's able to look up quite well, and down, and of course all around. But you got to be careful not to make the paint rub worse. His arms swivel all around, and also goes up this side to the side. He doesn't have any bicep swivel, but his arms at the elbow can turn left and right. Single hinge joint, not double hinge, and the wrist is able to rotate, and it goes up and down instead of left and right. Same goes for the other hands. The wrist goes up and down. He has a waist joint. There's no ab crunch or mid torso joint. So this waist joint allows him to look up slightly and not really downwards at all. And he can rotate left and right. You can see that the figure is able to do a split quite well, although the holster kind of restricts it on the right leg. Front. And double hinge knee joint. No calf swivel. There is a bicep swivel. And also ankle pivot joint. and hinge up and down. I feel the articulation of this figure could have been better. It's not really that great that the body doesn't have much articulation. Only over here on the waist, no ab crunch and no mid-torso or diaphragm joint. One thing about the gun is that the finger is actually kind of too long and does not go into the hole of the trigger. You can see that the finger is actually kind of exceeds the trigger hole. Just a minor detail, but yeah, it kind of irks me when that happens, when they can't put the trigger finger at the trigger itself. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the authentic Spider-Man Noir and this custom KO Spider-Man Noir. That's why I think this is from the Star Wars Black series, because I know the scale of that toy line is kind of slightly smaller than Marvel Legends. And even with the hat on, he is still significantly shorter. Here's the recent Peter Parker and Green Goblin from the retro wave. The custom KO Spider-Man Noir is really smaller in scale. You can see the Green Goblin is actually better in scale with the original version, and even Peter Parker over here is taller than him. So another question you might be asking is, can the hat fit the original version? And the answer is actually not really. The head is kind of small and it doesn't really sit well on the authentic figure. It can't even stay firm on the head. And the reason is, the custom KO head is actually slightly smaller than the original. So what do you think of this custom KO Spider-Man Noir? I think it's really not a great custom, mostly because it is not really in scale with Marvel Legends and that it doesn't come with a lot of accessories. There is actually another Spider-Man Noir custom KO, so do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification because I'm going to post it in a few days. Do stay tuned for more comparison videos. In the meantime, check out this KO playlist. Yeah.